It's 1 o'clock Eastern time. We're doing a show. A couple of psychics are going to have a chat. And welcome. Katherine Glass should be here shortly. I'm Annette Dion, as you know, because you're on my channel. She and I have had a meeting before, maybe a month ago. We had so much fun, we wanted to do it again. And there's Katherine Glass now. Hello. I don't know if there's anybody here. Maybe one person.
I can't hear you.
You can't at all?
Can't hear you.
Oh, dear. I don't really know why not.
Why? Wait. Now talk.
Maybe.
No, I can't hear you, honey. Oh, hold on.
Maybe you're muted.
Hold on.
But I can hear you.
No, I got you. I was listening to Pandora in my house. So I didn't have the phone speaker.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little, I'm this weird combination, Gemini rising. I'm this weird combination of like intuitively tech savvy and completely clueless.
And you're wait, what sign are you?
Well, we talked about that a little bit. I'm born April 2nd, but I follow a different astrology, and I mean no disrespect to my beloved Kathy Beale, who I adore, and both my parents were Western astrologers, but I personally have found a good fit with Asterian astrology. So I'm a Pisces by that system, and I'm born under a star called Hermia, and I have Cancer moon in the first house, which is so me. And when he read my chart, it just felt like, oh my God, I'm being understood for the first time in my life. Like, I am not a typical Aries. Like, I don't want to be number one. I'm not competitive. I can be short tempered and impatient. I have qualities, but I have Gemini rising, and that can appear like an extroverted, chatty, confident, friendly person. But I do not fit Aries, and I never did.
Well,
I really feel I'm a medium. Pisces are always psychic and medium and sensitive. I have to watch my attraction to things that make me want to escape. That's a very Pisces thing,
Yeah. So you're April 2nd, did you say?
April 2nd, yeah.
Almost April Fool's Day.
Almost April Fool's Day. My mom sent a big announcement out. Oh, the baby's here, April Fool's, blah, blah.
Funny.
Hi, Annette. It's nice to be back.
Hi, I know. I'm trying to see if I can't see people in the chat. Maybe nobody's chatting yet.
Maybe nobody cares.
Or maybe they just want to. I can't really see the chat very well because the YouTube Go Live with two people is only available right now on the iPhone. And you went in and out. Okay, well you bleeped for just a second. But someone's saying hello. So yeah, Betty's saying hello. So we're good.
Okay.
I'm Annette Dion, as my followers know, and I have the Psychic News Network, and among many other things. And Katherine Glass is a friend that we haven't met in person yet, but we're going to arrange that.
And Annette, can I interrupt you? When I was driving today, I have a little ADD, so bear with me.
That's all right.
I was driving and it was sunny and beautiful and 43, and I felt like saying, this would have been a great day to spontaneously just come up and bop around Salem with you. It was sunny and warmish and beautiful.
It was?
Oh, well. Yeah, well, down here it was.
It's not here.
Okay.
You can tell I have the windows behind me. It's pretty cloudy.
Well, it is now, but there was this moment. I was like, oh, I could have done it, but it has to be planned in advance. So we'll do it.
We'll make it happen. So we're going to meet up in Salem, Mass, and we're going to do witchy things.
Yeah.
We're going to go to witchy hats.
I have 2 witch hats. Should I bring them?
One of my favorite things in the world to do. I think I'll just go to Salem, and I'm so fortunate because it takes about 25 minutes to drive there. Is it about that distance from Concord to Salem?
Oh, no, it's about 50. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I can't. It's like these glasses are too strong, but without them, it's too weak. So I'm putting them on, and
I just gave up on mine. Cheapies from the dollar store. I always lose them.
Just blurry.
So we're going to just chat for an hour, and I thought it would be kind of a cool idea since we have cumulatively over 60 years of experience being psychics.
Okay, Warren is saying stay away from Salem, it's unsafe. Well, in
He's
the
just
daytime,
being
it's not.
silly. He's just being silly.
I don't know Warren. You know Warren. I'll have to get to know Warren.
You'll get to know. I'm thinking we'll probably do more shows and you'll get to know Warren.
I was gonna say he can meet us for lunch.
We can. I know. He's in New York City, so
Oh,
we
that's where
kind
I
of
was
have a
born.
little. Oh, really? You're born
Yeah,
in New
from
York
New York.
City?
Yep.
We kind of have a little bit of a clique in with the PNN. We have our regular followers. Always, everybody's welcome to join, but we're keeping track of everything that's going on. We're not doing a political show, you and I. Obviously, I
No.
wanted, like I said last time, I wanted to
Nice.
do something different. To just offer like. I started doing the news from a psychic's perspective to calm people down because everyone
Uh-huh.
understandably was very freaked out because all the norms have been upset in a bad way. But we are somebody saying there was a bomb threat. Well, that's kind of get used to that kind of thing. This difficult time will pass. So that's kind of how I jumped on to YouTube to just get people kind of together. And I would have, if we hadn't had all this craziness in the past 7 years, I probably would have started a YouTube channel just to talk about psychic things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But so
Mm-hmm.
that's how
Sure.
we got into this. So because I love to talk about psychic things, obviously it's my passion, it's your passion, it's what we do. I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about the most common things that people who don't work in this profession, who consider themselves not psychic, although you and
Yeah.
I know that we all have psychic
Right.
abilities. It's a sixth sense. It's
Yep.
innate. It's like animals have instincts. We have a sixth sense. It's been used for thousands upon thousands of
Well,
years.
it's part of our energy anatomy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? And so for
Mm-hmm.
thousands and thousands of years, it was what people knew, right?
But then it was tabooed, and that's why
Yeah,
people don't believe they have it.
then it was tabooed, and it's because it was tabooed by the patriarchy, to just put it in simplistic terms,
Yeah.
because people have this innate need to control one another if they don't have a healthy self-esteem. That's the way I look at it. They have a need to
Mm-hmm.
control. So uh, I like to get people to a place where they understand that there's no need to go, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. How did I just know? Like that kind of thing. It's just like, because just like you can smell things with your nose and see things with your eyes, you can
Right.
sense things with your sixth sense. So just thinking about the most common things that people that feel like they're not well versed in this arena,
Uh-huh.
what kinds of things do you find the lay person will just say would ask you to give them some information about, like about what like I think I want to go for what people seem to be most curious about.
Sure, sure. Well, let's just backtrack for a second and talk about the lay people versus maybe more a more experienced soul seeker, right? Because there are
Yeah,
two kind of
yeah.
categories. So, in my intake form, when you go to my website and you sign up for a reading with me and you get connected with Sherry, my assistant, who's awesome in LA, she sends you a little form that says, how did you hear about Catherine? Have you had a reading before? Blah, blah, blah. And
Really? You have an
yes,
intake form?
oh, yeah. That's a good way of screening. And then I have a
You
little thing.
scream too?
Oh, yeah. And then think of three
Wow.
areas that you'd like Catherine to focus on. And I'll tell you why, Annette, because psychics, what happens, at least in my experience in both giving readings and getting readings, we can cast a very wide net, what I call my psychic net. And
Yeah.
I can pull in all kinds of information and you'll be like, yeah, yeah, I know that. I know that. Yeah, I was a curious kid. And it's all very validating and wonderful, but it's not necessarily serving what they're here for. So I say to them, in order to give us a little bit of a lane to start with, think of three areas you'd like Catherine to hone in on. And usually it's career, relationship, and finances or living situation. Then when they get in the chair, they'll often ask me, you know, what can you tell me about my work life? And I'll say, I can tell you a lot.
Can we
Mhm.
dial it in a little bit? Give me a starting zone. Otherwise, I'm going to go really broad. And
Hmm.
just because I'll get all kinds of information. Well, you have a bossy boss, and there's some annoying people. Yeah, yeah, I know that. But tell me about my work. Am I on track, for example, with my life purpose? Then you're honing in. Then I can
Right.
say, right now, at the time of this reading, because we are beings of free will, we have choice, things can change. Here's what I'm seeing. Whatever. And then there's the people who say, what should I ask? And I'll say, well, a good question to ask is, what do I need to know most right now for my spiritual growth or my personal growth?
Right.
And even though that's a broad question, then I can start allowing the channeling to come in and just go to the areas of life like, well, you're emotionally really struggling lately, and it'd be great for you to maybe seek out some therapy or some form of personal healing time for yourself. That would be one example of personal growth might come through. Or think about stop, martyring yourself for everyone else and think about your needs first. That could be what spirit says for personal growth. Or start more. It can be a little more multifaceted. But these
Mhm.
questions usually are they want to know about a relationship. If they're in one, they want information about it, or they want information about, am I going to be in a relationship? And I do timelines for them, and I always remind them that they have free will. I think we talked about this before. If I say, well, here's what I'm seeing, I see you connecting probably within 18 months. I'm getting an image of a very artistic sort of person, has a beard. I can get very specific. And sometimes they've come back and said, oh my God, I met him and we're together. But
Right.
I will say to them, be careful with predictions and giving all your power over to a reading, because I may say this artsy guy, he's in a band, he plays music, he's got a beard, he's about 6 feet tall, and he wears a lot of blue or whatever. Then they go and meet someone else who's in sports, rock climbing, and he's short and has blonde hair, but they really like him. I say, go with him. Follow your choice, because maybe he leads you to the guy I saw, or
Right.
maybe you just go a different direction. You know, we
That's
can't be
interesting.
responsible for the full prediction.
So, is there something that you've heard most, like a blanket thing that everybody seems to want to know?
Usually it's about I'm stuck or I'm
Mhm.
flat,
Yeah.
or it's either extreme. They're blah and they want just an uplift, just help me know that I'm on track or tell me something, or the opposite. I'm really, I have all these opportunities and I'm confused and overwhelmed. It could be that too.
Right. Right. So, do you find that most people are confused and overwhelmed from your perception?
Well,
Maybe just for the
stressed,
fact of
yes.
this kind of profession, like we are counselors and we are
Mm,
helpers,
yeah.
and
A lot of people are busy and overwhelmed and want some kind of hope that there's like a break coming or peace, or they
yeah.
just feel like they're putting off what they really want in their hearts, but they're doing what life keeps demanding them to show up for, and we try to work together and go a little deeper about their soul purpose perhaps, or their soul path, or their something like that.
Right.
Let me turn off my alerts. And so it really varies. I would say the most common in general is relationship questions, questions about their kids and family, um, and career. Then on the side of that, sprinkles will be, okay, well, I'm deciding whether I should move or not. We're thinking about relocating, or we're thinking about a second home.
Right. Right.
I tend to have a clientele that lives in that reality. Not all of us do.
Well,
Um,
real estate.
yeah, or a second home or something like that,
Yeah.
or we want to renovate. Like then they'll hone it down to details of what's on their heart and mind. Now this is psychic we're talking about. I'm a medium a lot too, and so they don't ask questions as a medium. They just want to come in and see who comes through, and then maybe we go from there if there are
So, does anybody ever ask you anything about you? Like, say, not a reading, not
yeah,
somebody
they'll
who's
go
coming
they'll
for a
go, does
reading.
this make you tired?
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I look tired?
I don't know. Do you think that's why they ask?
No, they realize that we have gone through a lot of territory in that hour spent together. And it's deeply, deeply involved with them. And I'm getting information from what I consider the spirit realm, angelic guides, beings, whatever, maybe some loved ones if it pops in. But they'll often ask me, does this drain you? They'll ask me, is this hard? And I say, no, well, it hasn't, but I had training. It's the hardest part about our work, and you know this, maybe you don't know this, I shouldn't assume.
Well, that's why I was sharing. I want to
Is
see
getting past your own ego, is worrying if you're right or wrong. You cannot hang out in that space when you're reading. When I'm really
right.
reading, words are coming through. I tell my clients, I'll go, and this is just coming out like I don't even know what I'm going to say next. It's just I know this is what has to be said. It's just blah blah blah.
And how do
I'm not
people
thinking about it.
how do people generally respond to that when you say, because I totally get what you're saying. I tell people I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It
how just comes out.
How do you get to a place with people that wonder where you're getting your information, where they're like, oh, well, like it's real credible to them?
Well, credible is hard to prove because my belief and my model of being a psychic is I tell them it comes from your auric field partly. I'm tuning into the energy and reading images, but those images, I believe, partly come from my own higher self, maybe giving me information, but primarily I believe it's their guides talking to my guides saying, show them this, and then my guides give it to me. I can tune directly into there. A lot of people ask me, who are my guides?
I know that I wanted to talk about that too, because that is a common question.
Yeah.
Do you ever talk about the field with people?
All the time. And do I have spirit guides? And are they here? And who are they? And what do they look like? And I'll just say, I'll tell you what I'm seeing. You have a Native American, or you have an old Peruvian medicine woman, or I see a galactic being here. There's a guardian angel. A lot of times you're educating them, right, as you read.
Yeah, well, what's fascinating about the way that I work and the way that you work is there's no right or wrong. I don't lean into, like, sometimes people will say, I hear this a lot. Who are my guides? What are their names? And
it doesn't matter what their names are, but if you want a name, they'll give you one.
I just totally, I don't really go there. And what you're saying about when you see somebody, like there's a relationship coming.
Yeah. I only say it if I see it. I never make crap up. And I have a teacher who said she's in her 80s and she's a brilliant medium and she's still working. And she said, I don't know who my guides are. I call them my guide.
I don't know who my guides are either, but people seem to assume that you know exactly who they are. Like Sylvia Brown had Francine, right? So
Yeah.
I think that
Francine said, call me whatever you want.
So
Sylvia named her Francine.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
So it's true. Like when I honestly, so in studying mediumship, at least the British way, one of the exercises they have you do if you go to school, like at the Arthur Findlay College, depending on the teacher you have, but one of the tried and true techniques that they use is to have you sit and meet your spirit guides, right? Or, go to a bench. There's a whole beautiful visualized guided thing. You sit on a bench and your guide comes. And, I did that myself at Walden many years ago. I was just into meditating and see if I could find a spirit guide. And I heard John. And I'm like, seriously? Yeah. And I'm like, seriously, John? Like, are you kidding me? John? I thought it was going to be like, Shalakahaya, Malenino.
John's a fine name.
I know, but John, and so he shows me he's in a fisherman's sweater. I think we talked about this last time. I can't remember.
No, we didn't talk about
He's in a fisherman's sweater. I started asking him questions. Have I known you before? Yes, I was on Earth. I knew your family 100 years ago in Scotland. And I got all this detail. And he says, I'm the main one who helps you with your psychic work. And that was, at this time. Now, do I every day consciously check in with John? No. I'm just like, okay, John.
The psychic phone. Having a little dilemma with his client. Calling John. Lifeline.
But maybe he does help me with my information. I don't know. I don't focus on it. But it can be very comforting when someone is really in distress and lost and flailing. I try to advise or help or encourage them to try sitting and inviting your personal spirit guides to work with you. Invite them in. Say, guys, I'm really struggling. I need 3 clear signs. Is this the job to take in Tennessee or not? I want answers. And you need to be clear, I believe. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, you will get information
Yeah, a lot of
that
people don't
falls into
believe
your
it.
lap.
A lot of people don't believe it.
You got to test it to make it happen. You got to try
Yeah.
it.
And I think that it's important
You
that
got to keep your
everybody.
eyes open too.
Yeah, I think it's important. Yeah, definitely to watch the signs. I think it's important that people understand that there's no right way.
No.
Because a lot of
Look.
I found just, and when I say a lot of people, I'm just talking about the people that I have worked with and been around in this realm, that that can really hang somebody up if they're looking for, well, my guide has to have a name, and my guide has to look like this, or so
So the
that's.
guys, the information. Now, so 2 things. I keep interrupting you because you give me a topic, and
No,
I'm
it's
like,
okay.
oh,
You have Gemini
okay.
rising.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for understanding.
I have Scorpio
I'll sit on
rising.
my
I'll just
hands.
sit here and I'll just
So
go
2
deeper into
things.
the subject.
2 things. Your guides don't care what you call them. They will give you a name if you want a name. I believe they resonate with a name is a frequency, right? It's a vibration.
And it's a
So
human thing too. It's like
they may
the
have a
human.
name that they resonate with, or a sound in the spirit dimension of astral foreverness, where you say there's no right or wrong, that they could be like called Shashmina. I mean, they
So
could be a
all right,
vibrational.
so let's just ask you.
But you want to call them, Frank. It's fine. They don't care.
So is is one of your guides named John?
Yes.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
I heard clairvoyantly.
So you accepted it, even
I
though
mean,
you just thought it was.
clairaudiently. Sorry,
Okay,
clairaudiently.
so you
Yeah, and I
accepted
just
it.
accepted it. But then he showed me a picture of him. I saw him in a fisherman's sweater with a cap, and I've even drawn him during one of my, mediumship assignments when I was studying back in the day. And I drew him, and I don't even draw, but it was pretty cool. He came through, and it was a pretty good drawing. And I was like, wow. And he told me, I said, do you miss being human? He goes, I miss a good ale once in a while.
Maybe he was from Gloucester.
No, he was from Scotland.
He could have lived in Gloucester. The oldest fishing village in the country.
But sweetie, I got that fun connection. I had a specific question going on in my life about another soul in my life. I asked the question. I got what to me was a satisfying answer. A ladybug landed on my hand in the middle of a rock in Maine in the ocean, and I said, "That's weird." And that's my sister Judy. That's my symbol from my sister who called me Bug. She sends ladybugs, so I knew it was legit. And I just took what he said and said, okay, I accept it. And then I didn't think about him very much anymore. I just know that someone's helping me do this work. And I also believe we have guide changes. You have one main guide who stays with you, but other guides come in as you develop.
I agree with that. It's like a changing of the guard. I've definitely felt that
Yeah.
pivotal times in my life. And I think that there's a certain kind of, it's almost like if you're at one party and there's a certain kind of people and you feel a certain way with those people, and then there's a shift when there's, I call it a changing of the guard, and it doesn't happen
That's
that
what
much
it is.
in life. Yeah, but then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, wait, I feel that like I'm kind of a different person, and I feel like I'm kind of getting messages that are unlike the messages I used to get that are a little more advanced. So I definitely
Absolutely.
think that there is a changing of the guard.
Mhm.
I wonder, do you think you have more than one spirit guide?
Definitely.
So when people ask you that question, like how many guides, I hear that a lot. How many guides do you have? What do you
I
sense?
usually see 2 main ones and often a third kind of. This is far out. I have seen and have been told this too when I was read years ago. There's a guide that you're like that's waiting in the back that you haven't quite grown into, like you're talking about. You shift,
Yeah,
and then that
yeah,
guide steps forward,
yeah.
and they
They're
kind of
waiting.
wait because I think our higher self, our soul, also guides us. And if we're going way off track from what we tried to plan before we came, they'll kind of go, "Whoa, let's call this in and try to get you back on track with your plan. Your blueprint,
Right.
whatever."
And
Yeah.
do you have do you have a guide, some being that's on the physical plane right now that you consider a guide? Is there anybody that you feel like you're connected to
Well, I
psychically?
would call. There's 2 tracks for me. There's my personal spiritual souls, like not religious, but spiritual path belief. That would be like a guru or a spiritual teacher who was embodied physically and he's off planet now. So he's in my consciousness of someone I communicate with. But in the physical world, I would call that more like a mentor.
So was this guy, this guru, did you know him in the physical?
I met him in the physical. He was a guru to many on a spiritual path that I tend to follow, which is Eastern Indian path. That's
Yeah.
sort of like if I were to go to a church, let's say I was raised Christian and I have a really beautiful relationship with Christ, with Jesus, but I don't do the traditional born again path like the like the Muggles do,
Well,
like
yeah,
people do.
you said that Ralph Waldo Emerson is your ancestor.
Yeah, he's my cousin. And sure, my son is really connected with him. He thinks about him, he reads him, he's fascinated with him. I haven't given him much time and attention, but when I see his sculpted, figure at the library here in Concord, I feel a lot of emotion.
He's an amazing, amazing spirit. And in fact, just this
He
morning,
really is.
I live in Rockport, and I was walking. I walk every day, and I was walking by an artist gallery, and there's a bust of Ralph Waldo Emerson's head right there, and he was a handsome guy. And
Yeah.
And also there's the Ralph Waldo Emerson Inn. Have you been there? In
Yes,
Rockport? Yeah,
I
beautiful.
have. I've stayed there.
Yeah, I walk by
And
frequently.
there's my son pulled up on YouTube the other night just Ralph Waldo Emerson. We learned about him and stuff, but there's a whole YouTube couple videos dedicated just to all of his quotes set to music. And every single one of them is so beautiful and valuable and applicable and profound even today, like soothing.
I quote him all the time. Ernest Holmes, I have Church of Spirituality on my channel. Ernest
Yes.
Holmes revered Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was really,
Yeah.
he quoted him all the time.
I think my grandfather guides me. I didn't know him, but he showed up at Stansted in a table tipping exercise we did,
Oh,
and the
wow.
teacher, the medium who was leading it, said, "I mean, that table walked seriously right over to me, like I was across the room, and the mediums are holding, but it's three legs and it wobbles, and it went right to me. She just started." Unbelievable accuracy. Oh, New York City, Radio City Music Hall,
Yeah,
composer. She just
right.
nailed it. And she said, "This is your grandfather." And he was so excited that I was studying this. He said, "Oh, chip off the old block, eh?" So, they're
Was
with
that
us.
Emerson? Was that the Emerson?
No,
side?
that was my grandfather, who's Emerson's cousin. That's how I'm related to him. My
But it was
grandfather's line.
that side of the family.
Yeah.
Don't you
Similar
think that?
minds. They had similar minds.
Don't you think that Ralph Waldo Emerson is one of your guides?
He could be. And certainly, I think he's my son's guide.
Psychic to
He,
psychic. He is.
well, my son is very psychic also. Very psychic.
I mean, you look at this. Okay? Let's just look at this whole thing scenario right here, right now. I've been teaching people the works of Ernest Holmes, who was heavily influenced by Ralph, and I one day recently was like, I need to reach out to Katherine Glass. I met Jonathan. I know Jonathan a little bit,
Wow.
and I was like, I need to call, And then at our show, the first show,
I love that.
when you
That's
said
so cool.
he was your ancestor, it blew me out of the water, and I'm like, because it's like minded, and in fact,
Connecting dots.
and this past Sunday. I think it was this past Sunday. I've done a lot of services recently, in addition to my Sunday service, because I do like New Year's and Christmas and all that. But there was a recent reading where they were discussing Emerson and how he was like, academics didn't know really what to consider him,
Right.
because he wasn't really a theologian.
It wasn't in the box.
He wasn't. They couldn't put him in a box. And
Yeah.
same with Ernest Holmes. I don't know how much you're into the science of mind, but same with Ernest Holmes. People wanted Ernest Holmes to start a church, and he didn't want to start a church. It was the people that followed him.
So Emerson left the church. I just watched a documentary about him. He left the church because he became disillusioned with the philosophy that he had to teach as a minister, and he became his own Unitarian Universalist minister.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. And Ernest Holmes was the same. He kind of followed suit. Like, he didn't want to start a church of,
Okay. I'm going to give you a really great story, a fun personal story, really short, okay? To
Yeah.
demonstrate that yes, they guide us. Our ancestors and maybe Emerson had a hand in this. When I was living in California, where I had first met Jonathan, I had been with him now for 3 years. I knew, because I was psychic, and I knew I'm going to marry that guy. I had a big ass engagement ring on, by the way,
You know
when
that
I
people
met.
are going to ask you about that. So go
Okay.
on with your story. We'll come back to that. How you met.
Okay. When I met my husband, we were massage therapists at a spa. I had a diamond ring on. I had been wearing it for the weekend. My then boyfriend asked me to think about it. So I had this ring on. I knew in my heart I wasn't sure I was going to marry him. Then I saw Jonathan, and bam, I knew it just hit me. Oh my God, I'm going to marry that guy. So 3 years down the road, we're dating, we're living together, me and Jonathan. I broke up with the other guy, gave him the ring back, living with
Good. I'm glad you
Jonathan.
broke up with the other guy first. That's
Yeah.
a good way to go.
And Jonathan wakes up one morning and says, I had this really vivid dream. We were in a castle somewhere, and this woman owned this castle, and I'm in this castle, and another woman comes riding up on a horse in a cloak, in a hooded cloak, and she takes off her hood and she says to me, you better do right by her, meaning me. Because I kept saying, when are we going to get engaged? Let's go. Let's make a plan. Come on, come on. And he wasn't getting off the pot. And, because he was just a Cancer and he was walking sideways and cautiously.
Oh,
So I told my mom, John had this dream. And she goes, oh, that's Mary Moody Emerson. That's your ancestor. Her profession on earth. First of all, she was Ralph Waldo's aunt, who actually was his mentor, who taught him a lot of the stuff he started writing about. But she was a woman, so she didn't have the same exposure and voice. And she taught a boys' school for ethics. So she comes to Jonathan and says, you're getting the milk for free.
I love that whole concept of a boys' school for ethics. That's just, let's channel her more.
So I went and bought a book about her over at the Walden Pond. Yeah, they have a gift shop there, and I bought a book to learn more about her. But she was his mentor. She was older than Ralph, and she was his aunt, and she gave him a lot of the ideas about transcendentalism.
So was she famous?
Yeah, I guess so. Posthumously, probably.
What's her name?
Mary Moody Emerson.
Mary, we're gonna look her up.
And she used to ride through town on a horse in a cloak.
That is just perfect.
I know. And she came to my husband and said, look, you're messing with my ancestor, my downline here, so my progeny, and you better marry her or move on.
Now, I think that's an awesome story. I love that. I can see the movie in my mind. Do you think that here's some information that I've gotten from my guides, and I've just kind of gone with it. I got that we incarnate into the same family line about 70% of the time.
I agree.
So it's possible that you were her.
Yes, I've been told that I was my own ancestor in a past life. They didn't say who, but yeah.
It's possible that you were her, but you would kind of have a feeling about that, I think.
Yeah. I think I was more on my Romanian side. I think I had a life like farming potatoes and really struggling and being miserable, and I don't want to suffer.
We all
I don't
had
like
that. We all had that. We've also all been villains too. I know we used to think that way, but we've had some lifetimes where we weren't all that nice
or happy or comfortable. Yeah.
I have a recollection of a past lifetime, those kind of past lifetime recollections, not like I remember exactly everything, but I had this sense that I was a sea captain and I was like a merchant marine, which is probably why I love the ocean. And I one thing that came through so strongly was I was not nice to women. I mean, not that I beat them up, but I didn't really I just sort of
misogynistic. Yeah.
But I didn't really feel like I was mean. But the way that I
disrespected them.
Yeah, I didn't respect them. I absolved my guilt from that lifetime by just saying that's how men work. I hadn't learned anything else. I needed the boys' school for ethics or something. I had a lot of I had a lot of energy in that lifetime, that felt like it was around Key West. So I had this kind of intrigue with Key West for a while. I felt like I was stuck on Key West. I felt like I wrecked my ship and I ended up in Key West, and I had yellow fever or something. What was the pandemic? Might have been, I felt like it was a yellow fever, and I just had to stay in Key West and recuperate. And there were pirates, and it was crazy. When I tune into past lifetimes, for me, I feel like it's really helpful to understand how things unfolded in this lifetime. I mean, you probably feel that way too. You might have
Well,
been,
I have a karmic connection with Key West myself, which would explain another thread between you and me connecting, because
yeah.
I was my father was best friends with a man who had a home in Key West and a home in Vermont. And one year when I was an adult in my 20s in New York, he asked if I would house sit for him for 8 weeks. And I did. And I brought a girlfriend of mine with me. And we went down there for
Fun,
8 weeks and house sat. And I worked at a
fun.
spa making juices and stuff. It was really cool. And I loved it. And she had just we were just out of maybe 21, 20, something like that. She ended up staying and married someone she met there, and then came home for a bit to New York, but then went back, divorced him, and now she lives there. They lived on a boat for years, anchored, and raised kids on a crazy boat. And now have a home in the town, but she's still with this French guy, and they live in Key West, and she's been there for like 30 years.
That sounds so romantic.
It is. It does, doesn't it? But I
I
mean,
love
I
Key
brought her
West.
there. I had this connection to Key West, and I loved that I was there for 8 weeks. But I don't think I was a sea captain there like you were. But anyway, it's just another parallel. I want to jump subjects for a minute because this is
Oh, go ahead.
fascinating. I had an astrology reading with my astrologer 2 days ago, and we were talking, and he said something really interesting that stuck with me. Because I have Pisces, and Pisces likes to escape and be psychic, and I love to,
Wait, is that your moon? Is that your moon's in Pisces?
my sun
Your
sign.
sun. Oh, I'm thinking you're in Aries, but
Right, because
you
Western
do,
says I'm Aries, but he explains anyway. I don't want to go there.
you
If
do
people want
different
to explore it, they
astrology.
can.
Okay.
But anyway, he was talking about my rising sign of Gemini is under the star called Typhon, and Typhon has these qualities of escapism, and he says you don't have it really bad because of other aspects in your chart, but there can be addiction tendencies you need to watch out for, like overspending or escapism in movies and TV, or
Yeah.
drugs, medication, alcohol. So I just don't keep any of that around because I don't want to get down that road. But what he said, but I do hate pain and discomfort. Like I will take an Advil immediately if I have any pain or discomfort. I just have a hard time with discomfort. I always have. And pain, and I've had a lot of it in my life. I had gallstones and C-sections and all kinds of stuff.
Children,
But
yeah.
he said when, and I think this is across the board for all souls, when you try to escape suffering and pain and numb it out and suppress it, like with pain medication and stuff like that. I mean, obviously there are cases, my God, if you have cancer and you're burning up inside
Oh
with
yeah,
pain,
there's a
you're going
place
to
for.
treat it. But he
Yeah.
said, like, from a spiritual perspective, every time you suppress, especially when it's like almost recreational level, like, I'm going to go shop because I'm bored or unhappy, you know, you actually are increasing your suffering for next life double or triple the amount that you're pushing it down
Everyone, give
now
up your addictions now. Just quit
instead of
now.
feeling it, right?
It's a new moon. Quit.
Quit.
It's a new moon. Wait, speaking of new moon, it is a
111
new
portal.
moon. I'm just checking this morning in Aquarius.
It's the 11, isn't it like 111 portal today?
I don't know. People tell me that the Lion's Gate and all this, and I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, I don't really
But it's
get.
111. Today's January 11th, and we started at 1 p.m. That's a powerful portal. So whatever
Yeah.
information's coming through right now, it's good. Like, use
Oh,
it.
okay. Because I don't really know, but I know numerology seems to be accurate, but I don't know about people ask me frequently, speaking of things that people ask a lot. I see 222 all the time. I see 1111. And for me, when I see repeating numbers like that, I just, because so many people ask about it, I tune into what my feeling is at that moment. And for me, like if like I saw 1111 today. I saw that this morning. And I
Yeah.
went, "Oh, well, that's kind of cool." To me it feels like I'm in a flow. Like it's like I'm synced up. Like you're a musician, right? I don't know if you play an instrument.
I sing.
Okay, but I always kind of make the comparison that it's like tuning an instrument, like tuning a guitar.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you see the same numbers recurring, it's like you're tuned in. It's kind of you're kind of in sync.
Yeah.
So I think that I've never seen that be a negative to see recurring numbers. So
Yep.
people talk about portals, and I've heard that word so many times.
It's energetic, sweetie. You know, a portal is a vortex of energy that you can choose to consciously enter into and access or not.
You say it like everybody knows this.
Oh,
You
that's
know
the
what I
problem.
mean?
When I teach, I forget. People don't know what that means.
Yeah, and
It's a vortex of energy. Everything is energy, right? So there's
yeah, and that's why
different doorways.
I wanted to focus on things that people ask that don't speak the language.
Okay. So I love this comment here from Rose Blue. I remember high school study Emerson. Yes, didn't understand it at the time. Rose, I'm with you, girl. That guy is so wordy. It's really, especially if you have
Oh,
attention issues, it's really hard.
in those days, they and I think
Lots of words.
it's so sad to me that that's kind of going away, which is part of the reason that I've resurrected as much as I can
Poems.
the writings from that time period and from Emerson too.
Yeah, yeah.
That there's a richness, and it makes you kind of
Oh
stop
my
and
God.
reflect,
So
and
expressive. Yes. Emily
yeah,
Dickinson, too. Yeah.
it's just it's literally poetic, right?
Yes.
So but just back to words that people, I tend to, we were talking about gurus earlier, and said guru, I know from, I met him in 1998, and the thing about guru energy is they connect with you, and they're never not connected with you. It's so like this ridiculous blessing I've had in my life. But one thing that he would say, and I tend to kind of lean more in that direction, is that, and I think he trained me this way. Not that it's right or wrong. It just kind of works for me personally a little bit better to not label things too much, because people can. The way Sadhguru would put it is like too much imagination. Like people can just go crazy with their imagination. Like I saw
Mm-hmm.
a ghost, and I saw this, and there was a portal, and there was a this,
Right.
and I do
Right.
understand that, because it's so overwhelming to people that dwell more in the physical world, which is fine. We don't all come here to
Yeah.
explore spirituality. So when a word like portal is thrown out there, I feel like people have so many different definitions of that, and so you kind of want to
Doorway.
make sure that you're all on the
Doorway.
same page.
It's a
What's that?
doorway. You have an option to walk into your kitchen or your bathroom. You have an option.
So
Walk into
people
your
would
bedroom.
say, I know, just it's kind of like going into beginner's mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like to going into beginner's mind, you teach beginners, this work that we do, you
Yep.
teach that.
Well, we
Going
start
into,
by giving people the experience of understanding you are made of energy and how do you feel that. Put your hands a couple inches apart and hang
yeah,
out there for a minute and start to play with the pull, the magnetic pull. That's your aura. You are made of
yeah.
energy.
So starting there, right?
Yeah.
Starting there.
Hmm.
So it's like a lot of people don't remember that they used to do that when they were when they were kids, right? Like just I did that when I was a kid. Oh, isn't that kind of cool? There's like a force field and a resistance. So when we say portal, like if we were all in a room and we had a bunch of people that didn't ever talk about this kind of thing, and we said
Oh,
portal, you said doorway,
I
well,
understand.
what would that mean to the layperson?
I would explain it.
A doorway, but we're talking about an energy realm.
Yes, it's an
Even that.
energy with your intention and your mind to go toward. 1111 is considered a doorway or a portal of opening into the angelic realms of manifestation, of setting intention. So, what do? You take your consciousness for one moment and you think about something you really would love to create in your life. And that 1111 vibrational frequency or energy of that moment gives you a little extra boost or power to set that intention in a place that vibrates like a blueprint in the universe.
So you don't think that somebody would come to you that has no idea that we're energy beings? You don't think somebody like that
No, people,
would come to you?
because if they do, the density of that, I explain the difference between physical density and energetic density. A hummingbird's wings flap so fast you can't see them. They're still physical
That's
in
yeah,
this
and
world, but you can't see them. But
that's
that's
one
how
way.
spirit vibrates. Now, I love this. Julie Palmer, you are channeling, or unbeknownst to you, you're being a channel as a medium for my mom. My mom was a Shakespearean teacher and actress, and she's always around me. Talk about guides. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. So my mom was always quoting Shakespeare. She said Shakespeare sonnets at my wedding. I feel personally because I believe in signs and connection, and everything is all divine and connected. Like you felt the Emerson connection with me, and call Katherine
Yeah.
Glass. Julie Palmer says, "How do I love thee? Let me count the ways." She's talking about prose and beauty of words. My mother was all about words. Whenever I do stuff like this show with you, my mom shows up big time. She was an actress. She kept saying, "Oh, you're going to be famous one day. You're a medium." She was so excited about that. So here she is showing up through Julie Palmer's consciousness.
Oh, I can't really see the chat. What did Julie say?
She said, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways." She's just commenting about, what our discussion about poetry and words and Emerson, and
And
Davina's
it's your
saying
grandma.
Emerson, yeah, as a large size Aries, I need his calm was daily carried in my high school. There's a lot of Julie saying it's been with me for a very long time. That word, how do I love
see
thee? Let
now.
me count the ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so how do I
I'm
love
just
you?
throwing that in to say many things are happening at once in all the dimensions all the time.
Well, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. Is your grandma's telling you how much she loves you?
My mom.
Your mom.
Yeah,
Your maternal.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And any chance she gets, she'll pop in. Even if I'm on stage with another medium, she'll give me a message through that medium. It's very inappropriate, but she does it.
Now, for you though, you don't go, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's kind of scary." That's right. You don't. You don't
Right.
have that
No,
reaction.
I understand. Yes, I understand what you're saying. You're talking about wanting to help the newbies or someone who's never opened to this before to have an understanding and take it sincerely, and definitely we do. You and I, we've been at this 30 some years, and so
Yeah.
it's very nonchalant for us, which makes us safe actually to be with someone who's never had a reading before. It can be very spooky and very scary, especially if they were raised Catholic or with the Bible that says this is the devil, this is a sin, be careful. And you should be careful. You should be discerning who
Well,
you let
Warren's
into
warning
your
us that
space.
we shouldn't go to Salem.
You got to be careful who you let into your space,
Yeah,
into
I'm
your head.
pretty discerning.
Mhm.
I don't let a lot of people into my space, actually. Um, not that I don't love people, but it's just like I'm very
Oh, it's
discerning
not
about.
Shakespeare, she says. That's Elizabeth Browning. Wow, that is so cool. I could have sworn it was Shakespeare.
Are you sure it
I
wasn't
just grew up
Shakespeare?
hearing it. My mother would say it all the time. She would quote it. Ah, I understand. Thank you for that,
That
Julie
wasn't in
and
Romeo and
Warren.
Juliet. I thought that was in Romeo and
I thought it was
Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet too.
We might have to
Or
Google
maybe
that.
she was quoting. Don't know.
Oh, Shakespeare. Yeah, she might have been quoting Shakespeare.
No, Julie says, thank you, Warren. It was Warren, your buddy Warren, that says that's not Shakespeare. That's Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Maybe Elizabeth was quoting Shakespeare. Wasn't he long before her?
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, we got to look it up.
Yeah, we'll look it up.
Post it
So,
on your thing.
so yeah, what you're saying is absolutely true. I used to think about, that my approach is, if I were to teach a course, the course that I most want to teach is practical spirituality.
Love it.
So
Making it
because
accessible for everyone. Absolutely.
honest to goddess, I don't know what would have happened to me without a spiritual um kind of lifestyle. Like I
Well,
don't
but sweetie,
know.
that's based on past lives. You've been doing this for so long.
Yeah, that's just
You
who
wouldn't
I
have come
am.
in any other way. It's just your soul's accumulation of experiences.
And the thing is, I feel like I have tools that I want other people to be able to know that, like, I mean, speaking of Christian and Christ, he always said, "These things that I do, ye also can do."
Absolutely.
Like, and I
Yeah.
don't really feel good about having information that somebody needs and not helping them, which is the
Well,
motivation for me doing what I do.
it's older souls teaching younger souls, and there's no right or wrong or shame about being a younger soul. You can't help when you were created. Your soul at some point had a point of origin, and maybe it was some of the souls you're appealing, feeling like you appealed to want to teach, came after you've lived a few hundred lifetimes, and they haven't.
Well, there's different schools of thought about old souls and new souls too, and that's another area that I veer away from. It's not wrong. I'm just saying I veer away from it
Because it
because
sounds judgy.
It does sound. It does.
Yeah. Yeah.
When somebody says to me, I don't care who. It could just be random. I'm a really old soul, or that my child is a really old soul. It sounds snooty.
No, I don't think so. That's your
No, I
spin
mean
on
just
it.
in general. Just in
That's how it's hitting
general.
you. It's how it's hitting your perception. But the truth is, it's like saying this dog is 12 and that dog is 2. It's
Right,
just a fact.
but in general, when you think about a general conversation with the general population, if somebody says, I'm a really old soul and you're a really young soul, there is automatically there's a kind of a sense of like,
You don't
like
know as
is
much
a
as
young
me.
soul better or is a young
No, really old souls
soul
suffer
worse?
a lot. Really old souls are often miserable and really trying to get through a lot of karma at once, and they often take on more than they can chew. And young souls are bringing new energy and new information. Young
So do
souls
you
are
think
cool.
so is your perception that it's a chronological thing or it's like that soul actually had so many incarnations, like they had hundreds more incarnations? Is that the way
But
that you
maybe
look
it
at
took them that much longer to get where they are. It doesn't mean they're better or wiser. Wiser
well,
maybe
yeah.
from having experience.
Yeah, I'm just speaking from like the general like perception of like what it might sound like to people if
Yeah.
somebody's I'm an old soul and you're a young soul.
Yeah, I no, I hear you.
It
And
might
then
feel
there's
like
mature souls and like teen years, so like adolescent souls, there's levels. But I think
yeah.
that's just a fact of reality. It's what we
Well,
put onto it that makes it good, bad,
that's
whatever.
true. That's true. And I was just perusing just a little bit. I have a Sylvia Brown book. I'm not like a big Sylvia Brown fan. I think she was
I
genuine.
loved her books. I thought they were
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, she did have really good books. So I just opened to one the other day, and this is synchronistic. And Francine, her guide, was saying, I hadn't really thought about this, but she was saying there aren't any old souls. We all were like a big bang kind of thing. We're all kind of birthed at the same time. So I don't
Mhm.
know. There's different schools of thought for that.
Absolutely. The Vedas have a lot of information about the origin of soul.
Have
The
you
Vedic.
ever had a past life experience where you went somewhere and you were like, I've been here before?
Yeah, and it was so goofy. You're just gonna die laughing. I was just
Oh, we can
I
do
was
good.
it was in a hypnotherapy. I've had a couple. One, I was totally not a human. I was in a spaceship looking down. They said, "Look at your feet." I was like, "I don't have feet. I'm about to go to Earth. I have volunteered and I am not human. I'm coming from some galactic place in the universe." That's one that was clear. Another one was I was about 15. I can see it today. I was in a green velvet corseted, like Henry VIII era kind of
Yeah, I
dress
can see it. I can
somewhere
see
in
it. Yeah.
England. My hair was long, curly blonde down to my waist. I was
Yeah.
lying on the grass. I wasn't supposed to be out there. It was like, no, no, I was with a boy and I was flirting and in love and on the grass and giggling and laughing. And I was really in love and young and probably naive and beautiful. And just that was a split snippet that I saw of a life. That was it.
And there were rules and you didn't want to adhere to them.
No, I wanted to be free.
I get that.
Yes, free,
I
free,
get that.
free and in love. Yep.
Do people ever ask you about predictions for the year? Is that a question that you get from
Uh,
people?
yeah, like people like who interview me on shows, I will get that. And usually my, knee-jerk reaction is I've never done like planetary. It's just not where my focus has gone. If I go into what quote unquote channeler mode, I have an event in LA coming up in March, and I have to sit on a stage with two other mediums that I love, and we're all going to channel like angelic realms, galactics, like not just loved ones who've passed. Really, that event isn't focused on that. It's on other
What
information.
is it, like a psychic convention?
It's just called it's an evening through the veil with high galactic beings and energies, and question and answer for the audience around bigger topics like who am I, why am I here, what is a soul, why is the world falling apart, it seems like, what's going to happen, those kind of answers. When I look psychically, if you give me one specific issue, I can tune in and tell you what I get, like who do you think will win the election, but I don't look there ever. It doesn't come to me. Like some
We're
psychics
not
are,
going there today.
I know
We're
some
not going there
psychics,
today.
some
Just so you know.
psychics, I don't go there ever.
Not today.
Shh, listen, I don't ever go there. Some psychics are assaulted with visions, dreams, of future events. I never have them. I don't see earthquakes. I don't see any of that stuff ever.
So people ask, but do people ask you for predictions?
Yeah, about their life or the stock market or something like that.
Well, that's kind of a prediction that has to do with the collective. I just know that my whole psychic life, I usually will do a year. You know what's coming up for the year,
Never.
and I just wondered
No.
if, but people
I don't
do
do
ask.
celebrities. I don't do, what's going to happen for Jennifer Aniston next year? I never
Oh
look.
gosh, I would never go there. I don't give a hoot at
Right. Well,
all.
there are people who ask that of psychics. I don't, you remember Jean Dixon? She was all about predicting for the
Well,
world.
that was her thing. I think that
Right.
was
That's what I'm
her
saying. That's
specialty.
not my thing.
Yeah,
I'm a human to human, soul to soul reader. That's my purpose.
yeah. I was just wondering if people asked you.
No.
People
Mm-mm.
don't ask you for
No,
predictions.
because the divine doesn't send those souls to me. Because God knows, or my guides know my purpose.
That's not your thing, right? So when you go to this convention or this meeting, what kinds of information are people looking for from you?
Usually, things like, why am I here? Why was I raped? Why do bad things happen to people? Um, what's going to happen for planet Earth in the next 15 years or 10 years?
Well, that would
What's
be a
happening?
prediction.
Exactly. That's what I said. If I went into my channel and you gave me a specific question, I would access information. Yes, but I don't do that as a norm in my work.
All right, so I'm gonna throw you a question.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
This is just something that people want to know. And I've heard this for years. When are the aliens gonna show up?
They're here.
So is that how you answer? Like, okay, so when are the aliens gonna show up so that people can see them?
We've been here all along, is what I hear. And it's a matter of your being ready to open your perception to connect with us. And you have to put in effort on your part.
Okay, so for the layperson, now I mean, listen, there's a bridge that needs to be crossed here because we're not ready.
Some are. We're getting close.
Okay, I keep pulling us back to the general population. The general population wants to know if we're gonna, like Hollywood style, see all of us with our eyes, a
Yes.
spaceship coming down,
Yes.
like
That
like
day will come. That
like
day
Close
will
Encounters,
come.
like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Do you think that was a
That day
like a
will come,
premonition?
Annette. That day will come, but a lot of it hangs on the group frequency of the planet itself, which is always changing and evolving.
Yeah. Well, I know.
And
I'm just like,
some will see that, and some may never see that because of where their consciousness is.
yeah. Well,
That's a process.
it reminds me, and this you may have heard this, that there are accounts that when Columbus came to America and he met, I'm sure you've heard this, he met the natives. It took them a long time to actually see the ships because they had no frame of reference.
Right.
So
Exactly.
they had to be kind of described and what they were. They were ships
Right.
that floated on the ocean, and
Right.
then after some time they saw them. And my best friend in Nashville, where I used to live, told me a story about being at some party one night, and there were a bunch of people, and they're all like, just socializing, and it was loud, and they're talking, and on the piano there was a bowl of peanuts, and all of a sudden the bowl of peanuts just went flying across the room, crashed on
Uh-huh.
the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And she said it was really fascinating. She said, and people just kind of stopped for a second, and then they just kept going. Nobody talked about it.
Couldn't
Nobody
take it
mentioned
in. Either they couldn't take it in, they denied it. And sweetie, you got to think about every human being on this planet has their own personal human journey from birth to death, and whatever traumas or influences they've had psychologically, emotionally in their lives, in their brain pathways that are instilled in us between the age of birth and 7, by the way, the strongest imprints are there. If you haven't done any work on that or consciously tried to bring up or work with them, you're going to have a belief system that may stay frozen for this lifetime. But in the scale of eternity, we are eternal. This lifetime is like a blip on the screen. You
Yeah.
know,
I
it's
just
so short.
thought it was so fascinating because and I'm going to look into this a little bit more, that it's only if you can conceive of it that you'll experience it, kind of.
Yeah,
Like the people that know that the bowl of peanuts flew across the room couldn't conceive of that happened. So I think
right.
that's something. I think there's something with the brain. I don't know. Maybe you'll find out. Maybe you can
It's also
Google it.
energetic. It has a lot to do with the laws of attraction when you're trying to manifest. Trying is an operative word there. That's one thing that you won't manifest if you're trying. It's about really allowing it in and knowing that it can happen for you. If you really cannot, everyone says, "Oh, I'd love $1 million. I want $1 million. I don't have $1 million. I wish I had $1 million. I'd be so happy if I had $1 million." They're all along don't believing that they can have $1 million. When you can actually vibrate in a frequency of joy and excitement that you have $1 million and you know exactly how it feels to have $1 million, you very well may manifest $1 million or more into your life. I have a really hard time imagining a $10 million bank balance. I grew up in poverty. I grew up with families struggling with money. Those early imprints,
Yeah, me
those
too.
run deep in your belief
Yeah.
system. I can't, it's very difficult for me to fathom that amount of money in a bank account. Likely I won't ever have it. And by saying that out loud, I'm even anchoring that now. So you see, we are powerful beyond measure, but we just aren't fully aligned with understanding that yet. But we're growing slowly.
You know what? You say $1 million, and I'm like, yeah, bring it on. I'd love $1 million. But I'm so habituated to not really think about it. I'm really struck by
Right.
how infrequently I sit and just go, okay, what does $1 million feel like? And it's just like it becomes like not that important if it would never or not that significant, or like if you have the program to just switch to like, oh, maybe I should think about that if I
Well, the
want to.
people who do have it are ones who think about it day and night and they work their butts off and they make it happen.
But I know people that were just born into it too.
That's true. That's karma. That's a whole different realm of
Yeah, it's
frequency.
different life learnings, and
Yeah.
I think for me, I don't think that was ever supposed to be my focus.
Oh, I don't even
Just
think about it.
yeah, to just like kind of feel rich from having things in my life that make me feel like filled up.
Me too. Me too.
Like
That's why I'm happy to where I'm wealthy compared to how I was raised, so I'm good.
yeah, I know that's kind of true too. But growing up, I always heard there's not enough money. What do you think we are, the Vanderbilts? Money doesn't grow on trees and all this stuff.
Right.
And 5 siblings. Parents just didn't. It was
Yep.
just all that. But I have to say, like, I even have my abundance candle this is from Salem, from the in October they had a big outdoor thing. I do get to play with energy. I get to like go, oh well, I need abundance. Let me play with the end. Let me do a little this or a little that. So it is fun and it is empowering.
Karen Adams says, I have seen two aliens near Lake Ossipee in New Hampshire about 40 years ago. They were as tall as telephone pole and under a light. Absolutely. There tend to be upwards of 10 feet, 10, 15 to 20 feet tall. I agree with that. I have seen them in my mind. I've had communications and I've channeled them.
I've seen them
So
in my room too. Yeah.
yeah, they're very, very, very tall. A lot of them. Now there are small ones too. Let's not limit the limitless cosmos.
There's a lot. There's a
Yeah.
lot. And remember the last time I was talking about looking up at the stars at the meteor showers and just feeling like it was just too big. It's just too big for me. But I do so we could go down so many like rabbit holes, but I'm doing my best to avoid that because we're winding down. Um but I just want to ask you because we have so many things in common. It's uncanny.
So many what?
So many things in common.
Uh-huh.
I too have Central Europe connections.
Mm-hmm.
The background in singing, the ancestors that did the vaudeville and the music and all that.
Cool.
And our past lifetimes have similarities too. The ones that we discussed briefly.
Yeah.
Atlantis.
Yeah. Lemuria.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Atlantis, I remember snippets of more. Definitely the huge dolphin connection there, big time, but that's also Pleiadian, the dolphins and Sirius. And then Lemurian, I never thought I was, but I had a reading from a psychic that I really respect. And she said your very first incarnation ever was through Lemuria. And that's where you got stuck in Earth incarnating and you haven't left because you're still
We
trying to
got
help
stuck
people.
here.
Yeah, I got stuck. She said
See
if
the stone?
you have confusion about love and what is love. Is love self-love or is love for others? Like, so you've stayed always wanting to help others. And that really resonated. And she said, you came down like Glinda the Good Witch in a bubble, all idealistic, full of love into Lemuria. And then you got stuck here.
Well, I hope some of the lifetimes were pleasant and you were glad to
I
be.
think they must have been. I couldn't be such a happy soul that I am if I hadn't had some good experiences.
Right. So, when people say things like, I hear this a lot. This is my last lifetime. I'm never coming back. And I'm just like, that's such a terrible attitude. It's like, it's like this is a gift. Our life
Yeah.
is a gift, maybe some people don't feel that way. But speaking of Atlantis, this is Larimar.
Oh, I love Larimar. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And the first time I
In the
encountered
Caribbean.
Larimar, what's up?
In the Caribbean a lot.
Yeah, the first time I encountered Larimar, there's a little store in Rockport that I used to love to go to. And when I first saw that stone, just as when I first saw crystals, I felt the connection to Atlantis.
Yep.
We were speaking about aliens, which is how I kind of got into Atlantis.
I want to show you. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a past life memory of being a priestess, like an oracle in a tower, and I would look up and I would communicate with them. And I have a memory too. I know people that are here; they understand, right?
Absolutely.
people are here. Oh, that girl's wackadoodle.
No, she's not. I gotta
That's
show you.
okay. That's okay if they think that.
There's a crystal that I've been really drawn to for the last several years, and it's on. Wait, I gotta turn my pillow over sparkly side. It's called celestite. No, celestite.
Celestite. Yeah.
It's very angelic, and it's very outward realms. I'm really drawn to these kind of stones.
Beautiful. I have seen them.
And kyanite is also really good and healthy and good for dreams.
I never have any kyanite. I've got all kinds of stones. Some of them my viewers send me. Bond Blue. I don't know if she's here. But as far as the alien connection with Atlantis, my psychic memory of that past lifetime is that all of a sudden there was a huge explosion. And I looked up to the heavens and I said, no, how did you let this happen? That's what I felt. But I also remembered having meetings with extraterrestrials.
Yep.
And I remember what they looked like.
Yeah.
And then that's as far as I'll go with it because it's just too weird.
Yeah. Well, I remember family of origin that I've met during receiving healings and also giving healings, and they're just about 12 feet tall blue beings, and they don't have hair. They just have a round, and they are so. My heart breaks open when I connect with them. Like I just want to cry and go home, home, home. Like I miss my mom. It's like homesick. And it's so visceral and real and potent when I connect with them. And I believe they're Andromedan and or Pleiadian. They're one of those realms. But Annette, there's a beautiful reader, astrology person. I don't know. She does so many things. She's a high galactic.
Was it Pam Gregory? Pam Gregory had
No, her name is Indigo Angel 22 @gmail. You can write to her with your birth time and she'll tell you your starseed origins through your chart and your birth time and all Lyra and Pleiades and Sirius and Andromeda, all the stars you're connected to, Mary Magdalene's birth line, the Christ birth line. She sees it all. It's Hydra, these different stars. And you're a combination of many different times and places in your soul's existence where you have resonated with some more times than others. Lemurian, Atlantean, it's all shown in your birth time. It's an amazing reading.
Interesting. Maybe people,
if you want to know more about what are your real soul origins, check it out. Indigo Angel 22 @gmail.
I have my feet in both worlds, and I try not to go into that world too much.
See, I
It's
love
good.
that world.
Yeah, I
I
know. It's
love
funny.
hanging out in that world.
That's why, good friends have things that they're different about. And one of the things that I'm different about is like I think that I'm probably connected to the Arcturians, but that's about as far as I'll go. It's because I heard about Arcturians and I totally feel that, but
I
I
don't
don't go
think about it a lot consciously. It's just an inner knowing, but I'm here now and it's
right.
okay. I'm here. You know?
But there are a
I'm here.
lot of people that want to know all that stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, because like
And there
that,
are
that
avenues they can get those answers from.
that person that you mentioned probably has a gazillion followers.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I did hear about the blue beings from Pam Gregory. She's an astrologer on YouTube. She's got lots and lots of followers. She's pretty low key. She's been just doing this for decades, like us, being an astrologer. And she will have people on. And there was one Pam Gregory. It wasn't too long ago where she had a whole show interviewing somebody about the blue people, not the
Yeah.
smart, the blue
Yeah.
tall people.
Well,
So
even in the Vedas, Lord Krishna is blue.
right, that's true. Yeah, she did mention that. I think I've heard that before.
Yep.
So anyway, it's like Sadhguru, just speaking of Sadhguru earlier, he knows a lot that he won't share.
Yeah.
And
There's a
he
lot
will
of
tell us.
esoteric knowledge that's not for everybody's ears. You
Yeah,
know?
he'll tell us that he's not going to tell us. Oh, where'd you go?
I had a call popped in, but they left.
Oh, okay. So I just want to say to the people in the chat, thank you so much for being here. We're just going to wind down a little bit. And thank you for hitting the thumbs up. We have like 100% thumbs up.
I'm frozen. Do you see me?
No, it's perfect timing because we're out of time.
That is so weird.
I didn't mean for you to fade to black though.
No, a call came in and I don't know how to get it back on track to my live stream here.
Well, that's too bad because we want to see you to say see you later.
That's so weird. If I hit this X, am I going to leave the whole live?
You could maybe hit the link that sent you here.
Okay.
Kathy
But
Beal has done that.
isn't that going to
I don't think so. And speaking of Kathy Beal, while Catherine tries to come back into the room, the funny thing is that, and I forgot to mention this to her, that after I did the first show with Katherine Glass, I was talking to Kathy Beal, our resident astrologer. We have a show next Tuesday at 4 Eastern time. And Catherine Glass, and
I
are
can't
you
get back
there? Are
on.
you there, Catherine?
Yeah, I'm here, but
But I don't
it's
see
just
you.
not letting me.
We'll just have to end with you just, sending us your psychic goodbye. But I was
Yeah,
mentioning,
her phone call messed me up. I got a call that came in and then it hung up. It went away. And I disappeared. I'm frozen in my own photo. I can see
oh,
you and I can see my
okay,
screen.
that's cool.
Anyway,
That's cool. I have my do
that
not disturb
sucks.
on because if I'm doing a show, I try to remember to put it on. But I was just mentioning that speaking of synchronicities, I decided to reach out to you, and we had that that Emerson connection, that Jonathan, your husband connection, and then I mentioned your name to Kathy Beal, and she's like, I know Catherine Glass, and you live here in Massachusetts, and she's in New Jersey.
Yep. Yep.
So
Why am
meant
I
to be,
frozen? This is so weird. I
meant
want to
to
make
be.
myself come
Well, it
back.
wasn't meant to be for you to disappear, but it was meant to be that we all connect. And how fun would it be if we all got together and had a powwow in person?
That would be very
I
fun.
would
Catherine's
love
totally fun.
that. I don't have enough people to talk to about all the things in my head.
Well, that's why you had to make a show, you know?
Oh, it's true. Yeah, that's very true. I'm
I,
on I'm on YouTube like all the time now.
I don't
Um,
know how to refresh this. It's so weird. I keep hitting the live button. So bizarre.
all right, so at the risk of looking like I'm talking to a black space, which doesn't feel that weird to me. um, I guess it's a wrap, and let's do it again. You're going away, right?
Yeah, in March, I'm going to California to do some events, and then I'll be
I thought you
back.
were going. I thought you were going in January.
No,
Huh?
March.
Oh, okay. So you'll be around. So maybe next month we can do a show.
Yes, I'll be there, and you should have Jonathan on. He's a wealth of information.
I'm having Jonathan on. That's my next thing to announce. I'm having him on. I thought I have to confirm with him, but I thought we had said noon on the 20th. I'll text him
Davina
after
says
this.
group hug. I say yes, group hug.
Yeah, but hang on, I'm not done.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say that Jonathan Glass, Catherine's lovely husband, has a healing center. Do you consider yourself part of Healing Essence too? Like, do you work
Oh
there?
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So they both have a healing center called Healing Essence. And on the 20th, I'm doing a show, same way, with Jonathan Glass about how to be healthy during this winter season, especially where we're going to have more viruses and we know what to do with. So let's just be healthy. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Catherine. Please like and subscribe to this video so we can do more of them. And Catherine, do you have any contact information or anything you want to share from the black? Are you still in this dimension?
I think so. Maybe I'm half here, half there. So yes, just you can find me at katherineglass.com, Catherine with a K, very easy, and healingessencecenter.com. I'm in both.
Great. And
Yeah.
so stay tuned for that. And check out Kathy Beal and I are going to do an astrology show next week. It's a political astrology show, but next week, Tuesday at 4 Eastern time. And it's psychicannetteDion.com. And all right, so we'll say goodbye for now.
All right, sweetie. Thanks for having.
Yeah. All right. And thank you, everybody. It looks like Catherine just kind of dropped off. Thank you for being here. We'll do a group hug. Group hug. A goodbye group hug. And this has been really fun. Oh, hang on. She's coming back to say goodbye. I thought. I guess it didn't work. All right. Namaste. See you soon. Join grassrootsofdemocracy.com. See ya. Thank you, everybody.